Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. It is the 6th day of December 2024. Time to talk to you, hear from you on this Mailbag show. Just a few weeks out, little less than 3 weeks until Christmas. If you celebrate and you're like me, you haven't even started shopping. And you do this every year, saying you're going to not do this every year, and then you do it every year. So this is just who we are, guys. This is just who we are. If you shop for Christmas and you're like myself, you stress yourself out the last week trying to come up with ideas, and maybe you leave it to the wife to shop for the kids like myself. But hey, I'm the breadwinner, so I guess that's me doing my part, but I do need to come up with gifts, of course, for my wife and, my parents, and so it's kind of a bit challenging, and I do this to myself. It is all completely self-induced pain. So, all right, well, let's get to those emails, those voicemails that you guys left us in reaction to Survivor Series, looking ahead, the Roman Reigns scenario, Cody Rhodes, all of it we're going to talk about today and hear from you. And you can get yourself on this show if you email us at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. But if you're a patron, we read your emails at the front of the show. We don't wait until the end. We read yours up front. So that's what we're going to do right now. So who's up first? Who's up to bat first? Let's start with Dino. And he says, you can just disregard my email I sent last Friday as it's now redundant. Yes. Unfortunately, Dino, you missed last week's, but let's continue here. I thought I had still time to send it in. There was no upload of the mailbag last week to Spotify. That's okay. Dino, there are issues happening here, and not you. With my feed, and I have done nothing different. I know some of you on Apple have told me earlier in the last several weeks to months, there's been issues with my feed. Have I updated my feed? Why is my Apple feed not working? And I've told you guys that I've reached out to Apple. Apple has said there's nothing wrong with my feed, and for those that have issues with the feed, to reach out to Apple directly at support. So now they're telling me there's no Spotify issue. There's Spotify issues. So I will check that out. Now, I did combine last week's show. It was under the guise of the official preview and prediction show for the Survivor Series PLE. So that's probably what maybe happened. But if it's not showing up on Spotify, guys, definitely let me know. I mean, I'm subscribed to my own show just to make sure things are good. But that's good. That's something to keep an eye on. So thanks, Dino. This has happened a few times. Just to let you know, last week's Mailbag and Survivor Series preview and prediction and the previous week's Raw didn't appear on Spotify, in the Spotify ad-free feed or the patron feed. Okay, there's something I need to check. Dino, I need to do some digging on this. So everybody stay tuned. If everyone's like, hey, I'm missing shows or it's not there, this is something I will look into further because it's now reached into Spotify or Patreon. And I'm telling you, I have not done anything different. So let me check what the F is going on. This is a problem. So I apologize, but I don't know what's happening. All right, so continuing. Let's see. So you went on Twitter to just make sure that they're actually been posted. They just weren't uploaded to Spotify, or at least didn't show up for me anyway. So it's just to let you know. So what I'm going to do right now, because now I'm getting angry, not with you, Dino, but just with the process. So let me look at Spotify right now. All right. So I'm looking at it. I know this isn't the most interesting content, guys, but it is important, especially if you're not able to hear the show. So on my own feed, I'm just like everybody else logging into Spotify. I don't get any special access on my Spotify app. It's just as everyone else would see it. So I do see our Raw review that was posted on Tuesday. Our official Survivor Series War Games review and reaction was posted on Sunday. That was also there. The preview and prediction show was also there. And that should have included the mailbag as well, although I didn't title it as such. And then the SmackDown review. So, I mean, at least in the very small sample size of the last few episodes, everything looks good. If anyone else is seeing issues, please let me know. And you know what I've also suggested? Unsubscribe and resubscribe to me. It might refresh some things. But also Patreon has, I didn't think it had any issues, but I'm going to check into things here because this is becoming more and more common that people are reaching out. So, all right, moving on to more important things like wrestling. I actually enjoyed Survivor Series more than I thought I would, but it still annoys me that I waited all year for The Rock to be in this match on Solo's side, for The Rock to not be in the match. It got me thinking, what was even the whole point in showing up at the end of Bad Blood? That's I don't know if that was something done strategic, knowing that he's not going to be at Survivor Series, because if it was, if it was known that he wasn't going to be at Survivor Series and he's not going to show up till maybe later this month at maybe Saturday night's main event, unlikely, but more likely at the first of the year, I think for sure he's going to be on the first episode of Raw. Even though he's not on Raw, it may still happen given how big of a show they're trying to make that. So I shouldn't say for sure, given he's not really quote unquote on SmackDown, but you know how they are with the brand split. They don't give a damn about who's where and the logistics of making sure that you're adhering to what brand you were drafted to. So certainly The Rock is not going to be it's not going to be an exception to that rule. So I would think there's a strong chance, I'll say that, strong chance he's going to be on Raw for the first one on Netflix in January. But if they knew he wasn't going to be on it from Bad Blood to then, that's a hell of a gap in story. We still don't know what he showed up for outside of his rant backstage that was didn't really have a ton of direction, just kind of ran down Cody, talked actually quickly about Stone Cold, very, very briefly, and didn't do a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know what we need to take from that other than, hey, it's a reminder The Rock's still here and floating around. But I don't think that they expected The Rock to not also be at Survivor Series because, I mean, that's a pretty big PLE with both bloodlines feuding to not include The Rock in some kind of way, even if after the match. Was a bit disappointing. I would totally agree. And if I was at Survivor Series in Vancouver, I would have been extremely disappointed that The Rock didn't come back. In fact, you guys got no big returns. The biggest show, I would argue the bigger show was actually Monday Night Raw. When you had Drew McIntyre come back, you had Punk and Rollins blow up, right? So that was, from a surprise return standpoint that we all love, that was disappointing, very disappointing, even if the match, I think, was very well done. So, yeah, this is, I don't know what the hell the point of that was. I don't, but let's continue. Lastly, another thing that annoyed me was that I had to pay $20 for the show on TNT Sports Box Office instead of $10 on the WWE Network, as when I tried to subscribe on Sunday, being the 1st of December, licenses were unavailable as, of course, the network is shutting down over here. I didn't know the last day you were able to subscribe was Saturday, and to be honest, I was going to, but decided to wait until Sunday and subscribe right before I was about to catch it on demand. So that decision cost me an extra 10 beans. I feel for you, Dino. I'm sorry that happened. I mean, the network shutting down is a big deal. The timing of when you subscribed and when you didn't does, that definitely doubled the price for you. So I do wonder, though, is anybody going to still have access to the network? I don't think so, right? The network is just totally shutting down. I do wonder what they're going to do with that library that they have on the network. I know a lot of it has obviously moved to Peacock, but not in as nice of a format. I think the network's format was done so much better than Peacock's by a mile, by a light year even. It was formatted much better. The content was organized in a much more logical way. Now Peacock has done a little bit better. WWE has its own section. But the way you search for content, the way the content is kind of put together is not my favorite. I still miss the WWE Network. Now, so anyway, thanks, Dino, and we'll be talking next week. All righty. Let's talk to James. And James says, I thought Survivor Series was okay. I really enjoyed the War Games matches, which didn't feel too long, even though they were 40 minutes plus. Yeah, that's crazy. I, like yourself, aren't a fan of the War Games setup. I'd rather start with all 10 men in the ring to start, but I do miss the traditional Survivor Series tag matches, not full brand v brand. I do too. I miss those traditional 5-on-5s that actually had some kind of consequence on the line, something of value for the victorious team. And instead, it transitioned, as we all know, to forced brand loyalty that really did nothing for the losing team. It was essentially a bragging rights pay-per-view. It turned into that for several years. Every storyline that was going on was put aside for this exhibition match that meant absolutely nothing other than a way to market the PLE, or pay-per-view as it was known then. I hated it. I was never a fan of the brand loyalty nonsense. Even when SmackDown one year with Shane McMahon as the GM or commissioner, whatever he was, when Stephanie was on Raw and he was the commissioner of SmackDown, they got swept by Raw and there was absolutely no consequence whatsoever. I remember Brock Lesnar F5ing Shane McMahon during that PLE, or the PLE. See, look at me. I'm already acquainted to the PLE acronym. But the pay-per-view at the time, Brock Lesnar F5 Shane McMahon. There was no consequence. We thought it was going to lead to a Shane versus Brock match. It never did. That's the most extreme example I can think of this brand loyalty nonsense that has absolutely no ramifications whatsoever, which is why I hated it. And it also put all the storylines, even if they were good, to the side. Everyone just said, F it, I'm now loyal to my color. Stupid. Now, if there was something on the line that they could come up with that made sense, but instead everybody just decided, hey, I'm going to put all my merch aside too. I'm going to wear the Raw shirt. I'm going to wear the SmackDown shirt. It was just the worst. But anyway, so after a great heartfelt promo from Big E, who I didn't expect to show up, we got our heel turn. I think you mean heel turns, James. Plural. Sadly, it looks like Kofi and Woods have turned into a heel tag team. I fully expected as the segment ended for Woods to attack Kofi. Yeah, that certainly seemed the direction they were going, and I was very much bouncing back and forth as to whether or not I thought that this was a good swerve, if you will, because we did get the Woods turn, the official Woods turn, but the surprise of the segment was certainly that Kofi also turned. After months and months and months of Kofi and Xavier at each other's throats, Kofi being more of the aggressor, being the more heelish character that you thought was finally going to come to blows, we did get the turn, but it also, it kind of absorbed Kofi into that. And that I don't think was a bad idea, although time will tell as the story plays out. Tag team division definitely needs help. Now, it's interesting, though, that these two, who are a heel tag team, have a heel tag team champion, have heel tag team champions in their division. So it's not as if Kofi and Xavier can immediately go for the tag team championships. Very rarely does it go from heel to heel or babyface to babyface. It almost always flips from one to the other when a change is made. Almost. So I don't think they're going to be in the tag team title hunt yet. I would say perhaps at Rumble or maybe at WrestleMania. Somehow they can, capture those tag team titles. But for the time being, it's certainly going to be a Big E focused story where Big E's on the desk, still kind of depressed, saying he doesn't want to talk about it, or maybe giving us a little bit more of an insight as to how he's feeling and what's going on. And maybe he's, are they still chatting back and forth? Are they texting? Is there no communication? Giving us just a little bit more of the story. And it's going to be very much a story of Big E returning to action. I don't foresee this ending in a Big E just flop, meaning it doesn't end with Big E in the ring. If there's another story here that I'm not privy to, somebody needs to tell me, because if this ends with just Xavier and Kofi turning heel, neither of them turn on each other, and Big E is just demoralized sitting at the desk, and they go on to feud with another tag team, then what the hell is this? I mean, that's still very possible, but that would be a big disappointment. Big E here is the focal point of their attacks. How can it not be leading to an eventual return for Big E? Again, many people are speculating that it's going to be a Big E in-ring return at Rumble when Xavier and Kofi are dominating in the Rumble. They're getting a ton of heat. They're the only two left in the ring after, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the match itself. And then here comes Big E. I mean, the pop will be massive. Rightfully so. So I think that's probably what it's leading to. But after Big E and Xavier and Kofi have their program, then what's on the table for both Kofi and Xavier? I think probably tag team gold as a heel team. It's going to be interesting to see what attire they wear, what their music is going to be. Maybe they don't change it, but I think they probably would and should. So that's probably the long-term plan for Kofi and Xavier. Hopefully is tag team gold as a heel team and none of this sophomore garbage that we've been dealing with for 10 years. The heel version of these two men is just light years ahead of their embarrassing 15-year-old version of themselves. So In the interim, though, I don't know how, if they go with a Big E return, and I hope they do, Big E's going to be outnumbered. So the numbers game is going to be played on Big E forever. Right? It's going to be Big E getting his hands on Kofi, but can't get his hands on Xavier, or he looks like he's getting an advantage, and then it's 2-on-1, 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 2-on-1. So I don't know how this can lead to a real match. It can't be a triple threat. It also can't be 1-on-1 because it's weird. So it does lend you to believe that maybe we have somebody lending a hand to Big E, or it does lead to Xavier versus Big E. I don't know. It's interesting because the numbers here don't match. It's 2-on-1. So how do they play this out? A lot of ways to go. Okay. Quick one on the finishes being weak. The roll-up strikes again. Have you noticed how the powerful roll-up of death is? Nobody seems to be able to kick out. Well, yeah, that's been an issue for years now. This isn't just a recent event. This is something that is a pattern of issue for years, plural, many years. I'd say 5 years or more. And what makes it worse is it's not an actual finish move, and yet it is more effective at ending a match than the actual wrestler's finishes. That's embarrassing. I don't mind a roll-up being a finish. You could catch somebody, sleeping, if you will, where, you just get them at the right angle and there's an upset. But it's used so frequently where roll-ups are kicked out of less than actual finishes are. Think about that. That's how far we've come, that we don't even notice how ineffective finishes are now. We've all been just totally lapsed into complacency with finishes when we see one. Even the announcers don't get excited anymore. The announcers don't even make it a big deal when a finish is kicked out of. At least for the first one. Maybe even the second one. You want an example? Go look at Cody Rhodes. When's the last time a single Crossroads ended a match? Now, I hate the finish as it is because I think it looks weak. It's clearly just Cody taking the bump. We've seen a few guys take it well, but it's also dangerous because they're spiking their own heads into the mat or coming very close to. But not many guys can do that or are willing to take that risk. So very few guys can make it look good. So it's just clearly Cody taking the back bump for his finish. That's very obvious what it is. Now, yes, every finish is not actually the move that they're presenting. It is like Sweet Chin Music. Obviously, he's not actually kicking them as hard as he can in their chin. Yeah, fine. Every finish is protected in the safest way. I understand that, but one just you look at it and go, yeah, that just looks bad. Just on the objective surface, that's just terrible. So anyway. And now we have Big E coming back. I've been very critical of his finish. It's essentially just a flapjack. It's the safest, most soft landing finish I've ever seen. It makes the Crossroads look like a tombstone in comparison, and that's saying something. That makes the Crossroads look like a pile driver that Kevin Owens delivered to Randy a few weeks ago. You have go look at the big ending, guys. Go re-educate yourself of how awful that finish is. Even if we're supposed to believe it's a finish. It's Big E taking, again, a back bump while the person who's supposed to be devastated by it just lands on their hands. In just like as flat as they can on the mat. It's insane. So, out of every finish I've ever seen in pro wrestling, the big ending is probably the worst I've ever seen. Followed up by the Crossroads. At least maybe, again, so many finishes have been done over the years. There's a lot of bad ones. At least in my mind, off the top, currently, those are the two. All right. I'm fired up today. All right, let's go to DJ. And he says, was that a swerve that WWE Creative did during the New Day segment from this past Monday Night Raw? Because I would probably say, like most of us, that Saw segment, I'm not sure. Okay. Either I'm not reading it right or the sentence is a little bit off, DJ. I'm just going to get to the crux of it here. I didn't expect for both Woods and Kingston to betray Big E. I thought it was just going to be Woods turning heel and the New Day officially ending. Yeah, I did too. They certainly led us to believe that, and we got half of that, but the other half is Kofi turning too. So we kind of got the same thing. It's just an addition to what we all saw coming. However, now that Kingston and Woods are joining forces, will they still be called the New Day? And I would expect a change in their entrance music very soon, because I thought the whole idea of this segment was for New Day to officially end, but now it seems that Woods and Kingston have officially moved on from Big E. A great segment, probably the best New Day segment of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, I would second that, definitely. I mean, I've kind of been on the same boat, too, as, out of everything the New Day have ever done ever in 10 years, I would say this was the best 10 minutes of their entire run. Yes, including the awful Kofi Kingston WWE Championship run. I don't give a damn about Kofi Mania. Woods had some exciting moments. There were some actual moments where they were serious for about 4.5 seconds before they went back to throwing pancakes and putting unicorn horns on and blasting trombones and all the nonsense and inside jokes and fart jokes and just breaking the fourth wall jokes. Just the worst kind of comedy you could possibly have. There were moments, but this was certainly by far the best. Let me quickly pivot to Shinsuke Nakamura winning the United States Championship, surprisingly, in my opinion, against LA Knight. Most likely LA Knight gets a rematch, but he should not win, especially if WWE has future plans for him to move to Raw or possibly win either the Rumble, Elimination Chamber, or Money in the Bank next year. Anyway, a good win for Shinsuke, as he is now a 3-time United States champion. Thanks for that stat, DJ, because I didn't know how many times he had won. Some of his runs have been, unfortunately, a little bit forgettable. He's even had an Intercontinental run, I believe, that was a bit forgettable. In terms of, can anybody even mention an amazing moment that Shinsuke has had with any mid-card belt with the U.S. or Intercontinental title? I mean, I can't, and that's not what I want for Shinsuke. So hopefully this darker character does result in more TV time, more character development. He's got the look, he's got the experience, that's for damn sure. He's got the presence. They figured out the issue with his English, his limited English ability and how do we cut promos. They solved that mystery with just brilliant editing and video subtitles and all that. There's just so well done during a couple of his feuds. So yeah, it was a bit surprising. I didn't call it. I thought for sure LA Knight would win, but he didn't. And he dropped the belt to Shinsuke. It doesn't hurt really LA Knight. In fact, some would argue that it does put LA Knight into a higher ranking on SmackDown because now he can move into a title situation, perhaps with Cody. But the problem with that is, yeah, he may be one of the finalists in the Rumble. In fact, I expect him to be in the final 6, maybe even the final 4, maybe in the Rumble. I don't expect him to win. For those that are LA Knight hopefulists, I don't think he's going to win, but he's certainly going to be in the final few men, I think, of the Rumble. Many people are looking at The Rock as the favorite right now to win the Royal Rumble. I see how that could be because he and Cody have unfinished business. That is a certain possibility on top of the fact John Cena's coming back. Does he win? Don't forget, everybody seems to just forget about, not you, DJ, just like as a whole, including myself, there's 2 paths here to the main event of WrestleMania because there are 2 world championships, right? We have the world title and we have the WWE Undisputed title. And so there are 2 paths that we all seem to just forget in our brains is possible. So even if The Rock doesn't win, he could still face Cody. Even if, say, LA Knight doesn't win, he could still face Cody. Unlikely, but he could. If John Cena enters the Rumble, many people are thinking he could win. Well, he could certainly still main event with the world champion, maybe Gunther at WrestleMania, in his final WrestleMania. So there are 2 paths. It's not just a one and done for whoever wants to main event WrestleMania. So, all right, DJ Kuzmo signing off, and see everybody in the Discord chat for tonight's SmackDown. Maybe I'll join that for once in my life. All right, we'll get to that Joe Hendry report in just a few. Okay, let's, and by the way, guys, quick small announcement on the side. We're going to be having a main event host, WWE's main event show. We're going to be having Daniel, who did actually a few fill-ins for SmackDown last month, joining us on a consistent basis in a week or two for the main event show for WWE that I know a lot of us don't watch, But I think that's what will make it unique. And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't really want to watch this. Some of us just plain out don't want to watch, don't have time, or just, literally don't care. There are some of us, but maybe this show will help you get into that a little more and see what's happening on Main Event. I know I don't watch it, which is why I'm giving this to Daniel, and I know he'll do a great job. So check that out in a week or two. It'll be posted on our feed, hopefully. Okay, let's go to some patrons here, because many of you did message me inside of the Patreon app. And what do we want to start with on the inside here? Let's talk to Alex, the French guy. He says, I got cut off during the voicemail, but you get the point. Well, we haven't yet. New Day is becoming a heel team and forgotten. That's my fear. Oh, okay. All right. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that, Alex. And if that is an unfortunate fear of what could happen with the New Day, where they turn them and then they're just, there's like a, they don't have anything long-term planned, and it's just, we're going to do this for a month, and Big E's going to come back and get his revenge, and then they're just going to go, the whole turn of Kofi and Xavier are just going to go into the abyss. I hope that doesn't happen. As much as I despise their babyface characters in the group, after 10 years of being in a certain role, this is a significant turn. This is a major turn, even if we all saw one out of the two coming. So they can't flub this. They can't let this be put on the back burner. I would even argue, this is me, somebody that has despised almost everything that Kofi and Xavier did over the last decade. I would argue that Xavier, over the next 12 months, should be included in the title picture, the world title picture. I think he has that level of promo ability. He is good to very good on the mic. People know who he is. He's got the experience. He's shown to me he's a much better heel than a babyface. So, anyway, let's continue. All right. About the segment from the New Day, maybe some of you noticed, but you, Matt, I am 100% you did not notice. During the segment of Kofi, he was wearing a chain with an M. This M comes from the anime Dragon Ball Z and is kind of a, quote, mark of evilness. It stands for Meijin. Demons in Dragon Ball lore have the exact same M as a mark. As a matter of fact, Meijin means demon, evil spirit in Japanese. If you didn't know, now you do. Well, thank you for that. Obviously I didn't notice that stuff. I know what Dragon Ball Z is. I haven't watched it. I know, again, what of it, but I don't know that level of detail for sure. So thank you. And that's something that, again, those who are fans of the show, pick it up. Those who haven't now know. And that's definitely a nice touch. That's a nice touch for Kofi to bring that out, because it's symbolic. So thank you so much, Alex, for telling us about that. I definitely didn't notice that. All right. I think that might do it for the emails. Let's get to our voicemails, guys. We certainly have a few of them this week. Unlike previous weeks, we've got a handful. So stay with us, and let's get to them right now.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name, as I take you to my 21st episode of the Joe Hendry Report, coming to you live once again from an undisclosed location. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving up here in the United States. Enjoyed the time with your family, enjoyed the football and the festivities and the food and everything that goes with it. Now let's get back to professional wrestling, as TNA Pro Wrestling hosted its next pay-per-view event called TNA Turning Point from last week Friday, the Black Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving, in which Joe Hendry, that's right, live from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in which Joe Hendry was included in a 6-way Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl match. Like I mentioned last week, the loser, the person that got pinned or submitted, will be forced to wear a turkey suit. Unfortunately, that was not the case for Joe Hendry, as he got the victory in 8 minutes and 21 seconds. And the victim, the person that was forced to wear the turkey suit, was none other than Brian Myers, as he took the pinfall from Joe Hendry. So like I mentioned, Joe Hendry gets the victory in 8 minutes and 21 seconds. But as we get closer to the end of the year, as most professional wrestling shows and podcasts are issuing their categories for, the awards, the best of the best. Joe Hendry was nominated for 3 awards for TNA Pro Wrestling in their award shows for the finals for this year, in which he was category for Male Wrestler of the Year, Moment of the Year for being such a viral sensation on social media, and Match of the Year in a match that he had up against none other than Josh Alexander at Victory Road a couple of months ago. So please, if you can, vote for Joe Hendry in these 3 award categories for TNA Pro Wrestling: Male Wrestler of the Year, Match of the Year, and Moment of the Year, as Joe Hendry could take home 3 awards in these 3 different categories. I will try my best to see if I can vote multiple times so that Joe Hendry can get those 3 awards in TNA Pro Wrestling as we move into 2025. And now, let's get to also what took place at TNA Turning Point. We got the debut of Matt Riddle. That's right, the same Matt Riddle that was in WWE. He showed up at TNA's Turning Point. It seems like he might be signed to TNA full-time, and there's a possibility that in 2025 that NXT and TNA could once again have their collaboration, and we could see Matt Riddle back in WWE as part of NXT. But whatever the case may be, it's great to see Matt Riddle. At least he's doing something productive outside of WWE as he's now with TNA. But anyway, back to Joe Hendry, as Joe Hendry was doing another show in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on a Saturday, November 30th, as part of the WrestleCade Super Show, in which none other than Joe Hendry was in a matchup against Raj Desi. If you remember, Raj Desi was none other than Jinder Mahal from the affirmation, my guys, of the Indishir of Veer Mahan, Saga, and of course, the modern day Maharaja. But we didn't see Veer Mahan, we didn't see Saga, but we did see somebody that we all thought that was going to align with Jinder Mahal in this matchup against Joe Hendry at the WrestleCade show, and it was none other than the Great Khali, as the Great Khali came to the aid of Joe Hendry. So that's right, folks. The Great Khali believes in Joe Hendry as he helped the Joe Hendry get the victory against Jinder Mahal at the WrestleCade Super Show from this past Saturday, live from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on November 30th. So with that being said, folks, always remember to believe. Say his name. Remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, and any show. And most importantly, before I get to my final part, remember to vote for Joe Hendry in those 3 categories for TNA's End of the Year Awards: Male Wrestler of the Year, Moment of the Year, and Match of the Year. And now, most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe, and peace.
DJ, buddy, hope you're doing well, and thanks for all the updates. So what's going on? Great Khali still being involved. Your the Indishir, rather. Wow. That's amazing. We still have Jinder Mahal involved, obviously under a different name. And yes, guys, go vote for Joe Hendry. If you are so inclined, I would encourage you also to do that. And thank you, DJ, for all of your insight, all of your wisdom, all of your updates. They are very valuable to, I think, our podcast to continue to watch the career, the trajectory of Joe Hendry, to see exactly where he eventually lands, which is inevitably WWE on a full-time basis, not just kind of a in and out of NXT role. I think he'll be on the permanent roster, on the main roster, in short order, probably in 2025. So thank you so much, DJ. Let's go to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, this is Brad in Florida. To me, Survivor Series was a complete waste of time. I mean, what did the outcome of the Roman Reigns team winning Survivor Series really mean or give us? Nothing. It meant literally absolutely nothing. There were no stakes. There was no Uafala. There was nothing. And listen, if you expect people to sit there and waste 3 hours of their time or 3.5 hours on a Saturday night, you need to give them a little bit more of that, especially for a Big Four pay-per-view. I'm sorry, I found it to be extremely unimpressive. Now, on the other hand, Raw on Monday night after Survivor Series was very good. way better than Survivor Series, way more interesting, top to bottom. But here's the thing, man. The theme songs have to stop being ruined. I understand Shinsuke is a heel. Whatever. Let him come in with his old theme song. Who cares? LA Knight's theme song. They took his theme song and just butchered it with a bunch of cymbals. I mean, honestly, the theme songs are so bad now that they really should be ashamed of themselves. Another thing I want to say is during Survivor Series, the amount of camera shot angle mistakes that they made, the amount of moves that they missed in the women's match and the men's match. I know people were so excited about this Kevin Dunn leaving. Like, oh, we got to get this guy out of here. Well, he must have been watching that and laughing. And I don't know if you guys saw this, or noticed it, but there were a lot of missed camera angles on moves that should have been done from a different perspective or were just flat out missed entirely. I don't know what everyone was so excited about getting rid of Kevin Dunn for, the producer. I don't understand the hatred for all things Vince and just needing to purge the world of them. They really should have been ashamed of the camera work. I hope people noticed that because it was really bad. Now maybe it's because Survivor Series or War Games is a unique match, whatever, but they missed a lot of angles. The last thing I want to say is the format of the War Games match is the worst. The absolute worst. There is no reason whatsoever why that match can't be elimination in addition to War Games. For instance, you have 3-on-2, one person gets eliminated during that first part. Why are we waiting 38 minutes for the War Games to start? We're just softening up the opponents for 38 minutes? Is that, it honestly is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. There's no stakes whatsoever until 5-on-5. Okay, why is that? So, to be honest with you, man, I thought Survivor Series was whack. I know I'm up against...
Hey, Brad. Always really just, you make points that every time you make them, I'm sitting there going, how did I not see that? How did I not think of that? How did my brain not conjure that? And that's because my brain is mush. That's why. But thank you, Brad. And I hope everything's doing good, doing well for you down there in Florida. So let's go point by point, because every point you made is worth responding to. Not that everybody else's isn't, but sometimes points can be consolidated. Yours, I think, needs to be taken point by point. What does Roman's team winning even mean? Pride. I mean, that's about it. You're right. This was a match that a lot of us saw coming 6 months ago. Literally, after April. The moment that Roman Reigns turned babyface, which is the moment he lost the belt, we saw this coming. After Solo's turn fully into making his own bloodline, which happened, like a week or two after, it essentially was like, oh, I see where this is going. Awesome. I'm on board. Let's do it. We can see War Games being this. And it happened. But yeah, there's no consequence. You know what? I would have even accepted this, at least from a consequences standpoint, if The Rock came out and you saw massive progression in the story. It's like, okay, really not much was on the line, but we see what's going to happen here. The Rock comes out. He aligns himself with Solo. Maybe we can infer what could happen from there. Does he actually turn on Roman? What happens? It's like, okay, we could accept it if that happened, but it was just a matter of fact. I thought the match quality was very good. I'm not going to crap on the match quality or backtrack on it. I thought it was very, very well done in terms of the effort. Okay. I want to be very clear on what perspectives I'm giving my applause for on this, which is effort, bumps, spots as always, which again, all superficial stuff, but still worth noting of these men putting their damn bodies and lives on the line. So yeah, from that perspective, I didn't have any issue with it. The OG Bloodline winning, I didn't have an issue with the OG Bloodline winning, but the fact that there wasn't anything on the line was insane. This is such a massive high profile match, a match that many of us wanted and have seen coming for 6 months. And then you get to it and it's like, okay, well, Roman's team won. What do they get out of it? Or if it was Solo's team, what do they get out of it? Does the other team have to disband? Does the other team's leader get a title shot? Does, what happens? Did they win a pot of gold? Nothing was on the line other than pride. And I guess, though, what would have been on the line? And I don't mean this in a patronizing way at all. It's a legit question. What you would, everyone, including you, Brad, what would you want to be on the line? What should have been on the line? What would have made sense to be on the line? I don't know. You can't put the title on the line. Cody's not involved. There's no other title that you could have put in here. It essentially was an exhibition match for a very high-profile program. Some would argue the most high-profile program WWE has right now is Bloodline. So is this team also going to break up now? Was the OG Bloodline just for one night? I mean, certainly Punk's involvement was just for one night to even out the odds, and why Bronson Reed and CM Punk had to be involved at all still made no sense. I mean, yes, you had Paul Heyman come in, and he's the reason that Punk came back, and that he did a favor, and now we're supposed to kind of project out what that favor for Punk could be. Yes, all of that's true, but you could have done that without him being involved in the Bloodline. But this was ridiculous that nothing was on the line. And to your point, too, about the fact that it's not elimination has always been a sticking point for me. This needs to be elimination. Because as you said, for 38 minutes until the bell rings, it's a snooze fest not in terms of effort or in terms of, spots and things like that. If you like just wrestling for wrestling's sake, but that's all it is. You have nothing on the line because nobody can be eliminated. So it's essentially just a dress rehearsal for the actual match because nothing can happen until the bell rings, which is ridiculous. It's so infuriating. And then when the bell does finally ring after 40 minutes, after all the pomp and circumstance and all the mirage of there being an advantage, when you can't have an advantage if the match hasn't even started yet, by the way, then when the match finally starts, it's only one fall to a finish. What? I mean, there's just so many bad things about the matchup, like logically, and how we're supposed to care. And if the match hasn't even started, well, why does everyone have to adhere to a match that hasn't even officially started? Meaning there's no rules if the match hasn't started. You can't have rules if the match hasn't actually begun. So why doesn't everyone have to go through the pomp and circumstance of coming in one by one if there's no match going on? Why doesn't everyone just get in the ring at once? It's insane. There's no stakes until 38 minutes in, as you said. I don't know why anyone even pays attention until everyone's in the ring. No one should even pay attention. There's nothing to say other than spot-based because you cannot eliminate anybody. Nobody can be eliminated because the match hasn't started. So it's like, so anyway, it's infuriating. Now, as far as Kevin Dunn goes, it was to simply get rid of a Vince McMahon holdover. He had ideas and visions for how the program should be produced that they didn't want. I think it boils down to he was a Vince McMahon hire. He had a lot of Vince McMahon baked into his brain and how things should be done and presented. Kevin Dunn did not want to be known as a wrestling guy. He wanted to be known as an entertainment producer. Did not like being labeled a pro wrestling producer, which is what he should have been. It was very much a vision that Triple H and company did not share, and they wanted to move on. Now, yes, the camera angles at times were terrible. At times they were, I mean, I don't know if embarrassing is the right word, but for the high profile of WWE and the money they spend on all their technology and hires and cameras, it was a bit, at times, sure, embarrassing. But it also is a challenging match to get all the angles in when there's so much going in and going on in the match. You're going to miss spots, unfortunately, even for somebody like WWE, the company like WWE, you're going to miss stuff. But the number of times they did is a good point to bring up. It should be improved. So we'll see if that's a pattern that continues. The theme songs being ruined in your final point here. Theme songs were ruined. I guess that's kind of subjective. I mean, I don't hate all the changes they made. I think Roman's is egregious. There's no need to change his music from when he was a heel to now. It was a song that was kind of unisex, meaning like they could have just used it if it was a heel or face. No need to change it. To me, the new song just doesn't have a good drop, if you will. It's just kind of anticlimactic. It's not nearly, I think, as iconic as his original music. There was no need to change Roman. In some cases there is. Like if you have a very kind of down and, just kind of not an uplifting song, like whenever Gunther turns babyface, perhaps they change it because it's not exactly a uplifting, fun, song that people can get into and feel like an energy charge from. It's just kind of a down, very subdued, but dark song with Gunther. So maybe when he changes, but it's not always needed. And what they've done to Shinsuke, I don't hate it. I think, to be fair and consistent, I think it fits his darker theme. However, the other side of the coin that you're talking about is his song was iconic. His song was one of those songs that just gets stuck in your head all day. And that's a good thing. And I think I don't know if there was a need to do it. it's to me a case by case basis. If you feel that the song that they currently have as a babyface or a heel doesn't make sense to when they go heel or babyface, then yeah. But to me, it's not to change it just for change's sake. Sometimes the song can remain as is, no matter what the role they're in is. For example, if Sami Zayn were to turn heel, I think they should change his music. Roman's didn't need to be changed. Seth Rollins, I don't think needs to be changed either. You could keep his, it fits both. There are certain guys and gals that you just don't need to change because the real change will come from their personality, from their actions, from their promos, from their presence. And they can also change their mannerisms when they walk out. It's not all about the music, how they walk to the ring, their body language, how they look at the crowd, their pacing, that kind of thing can change how you view the person, even if the music is staying the same. So to me, I think it's definitely case by case. So, all right. Thanks so much. Let's get to Alex, the French guy, and see what he's got to say this week.
Alex, the French guy here, your current European champion. So many things to talk about today. But first and foremost, where is The Rock? I know some of you, most of you expected it at Survivor Series. The next time we expect The Rock to come back is, of course, the premiere Raw on Netflix. I think he will come back this way. Please, give us this main event or even this match. We want Roman Reigns versus The Rock. No title involved. Bloodline rules, bloodline titles. We want that. The people want The Rock versus Roman Reigns. All you Cody crybabies, you did have what you wanted. Cody Rhodes as a champion. Results. Best storyline? None of them. The only storyline that makes sense right now is with Kevin Owens. AJ Styles as well. But I don't remember any storyline being good with Cody Rhodes right now. But that's the subject of today. Today's main subject is Monday Night Raw, New Day, kind of breaking up. I know so many people are satisfied with this event, this turn of events. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods turning their back on Big E. I think it is a massive, massive mistake because if you can make Xavier Woods heel and turn on Kofi Kingston, and you would establish him as a prominent heel. If you do the same with Kofi Kingston, that's the same. However, if you are having a tag team that is heel, it is the best way for them to fall into the division, maybe to win the tag team titles, but also to being stuck again in this New Day persona. Because the New Day is not breaking up. It's just changing. It's just like taking back to the heel persona that they were. So no, that is an absolute mistake. Please, make Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston turn on each other. Make Xavier Woods a heel, not someone with resentment. I know that there's some, this time right now, most of the heel on Raw are kind of being sweeter. You can have sympathy with them. Same with Drew McIntyre. You can say, okay, I understand why he did what he did, but now we need a Xavier Woods or a Kofi Kingston being absolute heel. And I don't think in the tag team division they can do as such. So, big disappointment with the New Day turning. I hope they can fix this, but I don't think so. The reality being, I think it will fall.
Well, all right. Good to hear from you, Alex, the French guy. And look, they could definitely have either Kofi or Xavier be the primary heel. One of them could still turn on the other. I think that honestly, you could and should still make ultimately Xavier the singles heel. Now, Xavier and Kofi may go on a tag team run as a heel, and then they should. I mean, they established that this week. For them to go back on it would be crazy for us to be sympathetic to Kofi, then hate him, and then next week we're back to loving him because now Xavier turned on him or something like that. That should happen, but down the line, just for the sake of consistency and congruity, and it's not flip-flopping and you can't keep things straight. So Kofi and Xavier for now are going to be a heel team, which ultimately should lead to Xavier turning on Kofi. I think Xavier is the star here, not Big E, believe it or not. not Kofi, who I think has kind of run his course, certainly as a babyface, and really just from his age and kind of what we've seen from Kofi. I love the fact that we're exploring a heel Kofi. I love it, but the idea that he's going to ever be the real focus of this trio moving forward, or now disbanded trio, is not the best of ideas, I don't think. Big E, now it's been a couple of years almost. He obviously had the neck injury. He, it has been missed. People have been asking him all the time, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Are you coming back? And if he does come back from this, which I think he will, and does compete in the ring, he'll get a big babyface pop. But to me, no matter what happens with Big E, what they try to do with Big E, what they try to do with Kofi here, it's about Xavier. Xavier was, to me, the star of last week's turn, and has been the star for a while when it comes to heel tendencies and what he's capable of. And yes, Kofi last week had a great line of, you broke your neck, so what? I mean, you can make a t-shirt out of that. I mean, somebody should. You broke your neck, so what? That's a great line. So I give Kofi credit on that, or whoever came up with it. Great job there. And Xavier, again, is the star of this group. He's got the age on his side. He's got the experience now. He's the guy for a long time that I've been eyeing to break out of this nonsensical babyface, sophomoric, 14-year-old mentality, or 14-year-old humor into a bona fide heel. And we got that last week. So, yeah, that's to me. And as far as Rock Roman, my God, can we just get to it? How many years have we been talking about this? How many times has WWE planned it and then Rock couldn't do it? Movie schedule. Oh, sorry, guys, another movie schedule. Oh, no, can't do it. Not this year. Next year. Oh, WrestleMania 40, we're going to do it. Wait, no, the fans want Cody and Roman. Okay, well, eventually Father Time is going to take us all. And whether The Rock is going to be in ring shape enough, or maybe he goes on to another massive project, maybe he gets into politics, we need to do this before something catastrophic happens where we never actually get it. I don't give a damn about The Rock and Cody Rhodes. I know a lot of people do. I know WWE teased it, so that's likely the place we're going to go. But Rock Roman is still the money match to me. Yes, no titles on the line, but I've said for literally years now, the title should not be on the line, and neither have a championship. Therefore, it's the perfect time to strike. You want the boss. You want the final boss. You want The Rock circa 2004, 2003, where he's that Hollywood Rock. It's the best version of The Rock we've ever seen against a babyface Roman, which I didn't think we'd ever see in terms of who would be playing what role. I don't care. Let's do it. Do it now before something happens where we can't ever get it. So, yeah, I'm with you. I know that The Rock is heavily favored to win the Rumble, and he and Cody Rhodes are going to have a title match, and they will at some point. But you got to do Rock Roman. You just have to get there. And I don't want to hear, well, next year, WrestleMania 42. Well, maybe SummerSlam. It's a stadium show now. It's 2 nights up. No. Enough. Full stop, as they say. Enough. Rock Roman now. Please. Like before, I'm telling you, the universe is just conspiring against this match happening for whatever reason. All right, one more voicemail and we'll call it a day.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about the whole New Day situation here with the whole turn. Now, I've heard from other people that kind of agree in the sense of that, okay, they turned heel. Now, we'll see what happens moving forward. But what like the end game, they gotta have to not win the titles back, right? You gotta do something different. Does Kofi win the IC championship from Breaker? Does he, are they going to, I heard some people complaining that they wanted Uso to remain champion because they did that one match between Xavier and Jay for the IC championship, and Jay won, of course. And so if Jay was still champion, you have Woods go after Jay, and then he'll roll even as a full-fledged heel, and he'll take the title off of Jay, all this stuff. So is that the end game? Is that what we're doing here with them? Because even though the turn was great, in the long term, what do they plan on doing with them as heels moving forward? I'm sure we'll find out, because I don't see either guy being world champion anytime soon or ever again when it comes to Kofi at that point. I don't see them at that level anymore, or actually at all when it comes to Woods. So, is it the IC title run? Is the destination with these two? Or they just go back to being tag team champions? But it's like been there, done that with them, as heels and as baby faces. So, this is going to be an interesting interesting thing to follow, because this is the first time I've been interested in the New Day since their feud with the Usos in 2017. So we'll see what happens. I just feel like I don't know what they're going to do, and ultimately as heels moving forward in terms of championship aspirations. So we'll see, but I don't know what they plan on doing. So, but that's overall, I would have mentioned that, but that's just for a call back.
All right, Kyle. Well, I mean, at the risk of repeating myself, I mean, I've run through some scenarios here, but I concur with your concern about the longevity of this story and what the ultimate end game is. I have my concerns that they have an end game. Now, Triple H has shown that he has a little bit more long-term vision than Vince ever did, who seemed to be hot-shotting stuff and, well, we'll figure it out down the line. And even the talent afterwards, a lot of times they'll say, I don't think they had a plan, they just did it. And that still happens. I mean, not every single story going on in WWE has an end game. A lot of times it's, let's figure it out along the way. And I think that's okay. Not every single story needs to have an ultimate end game of what they envision. I mean, it sounds a little bit counterintuitive of like you do something, but you don't know where you're going. But sometimes you just feel like you're grasping something. And then as you move on, you'll take it step by step and figure out where you want to go along the way. Now, I don't think that's a hard and fast rule. I liked them to have long story arcs, but it's not realistic for every story to have that. But that all said, something of this caliber with a 10-year group that has been babyface for 10 years suddenly turns heel, or at least 2 out of the 3 of them do. That's a massive shift. You have to have, after all these months of preparation of teasing Xavier turning heel ultimately for just Kofi and Xavier to turn heel on Big E, you have to have a long-term story for this one. This isn't a, well, figure it out along the way. This is a, okay, at least 3 to 6 months ahead. Where are we going with this? Is it Big E challenging Kofi? Is it Big E challenge Xavier? It can't be 2-on-1 handicap. That's not going to happen. They'll brawl 2-on-1, and Big E will be overpowered many times, and ultimately he's going to have to bring in a partner if they're going to do a tag team match. But to me, it should be Xavier and Big E is where things should fall. I love Xavier, his heel work and what he's done. Kofi stepped up last week and has shown a side of him that I've been waiting to see for 10 years. And so that's good. But ultimately, you have to get a one-on-one with Big E if Big E is the ultimate payoff here. But after Big E, no matter what happens, as I've said at the beginning of the show, you have to have something beyond that for them. And it could be the tag titles, but we've been there, done that 100 times. We've been there, done that 100 times with that group that is the babyface group, but what does a heel run look like for them? What does their music look like? What does their attire look like? Maybe it feels different, even though they've carried the tag team belts 454 times. What does that look like? Does it feel fresh, even though they've carried them? I mean, so many times we literally lost count. But to me, it's about singles runs. That's where the biggest money is. And I want to see Xavier on his own. I do like, and I'm on board for the ride of Xavier and Kofi being heel. I'm on board for that. But ultimately, the big money, as we all know, is in a singles run. And I think Xavier, to me, if I were booking this out, is in line for a run with a top world championship on Raw. That's not probably for 12 months. We can see how it goes along the way, but that to me would be the end goal for Xavier. Kofi could still be in his corner. Maybe they don't turn on each other. They just kind of separately go their ways quietly. And maybe Kofi helps Xavier cheat to win. That could be the case. You could also have a United States Championship in Xavier's future, which I think would be also a fun deal, considering that he's never won a singles championship, as Kofi pointed out a few weeks ago on Raw. So there's a lot of places to go, but ultimately it should, but regardless of what happens with Big E, result in a singles run for Xavier as a heel. That's the big payoff for me. So, all right, that'll do it for me here on the WWE Podcast Mailbag. Again, you guys can go ad-free over at patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Ad-free everything over there. You can also check out my new show, War on Truth, which is available on Apple and Spotify. If you guys are having issues with the feed, please let me know. Things have been wonky all over the place with Patreon, Spotify, and Apple, but go ad-free. Give us a 5-star rating if you can, and I will be talking to you guys on Sunday. So enjoy the weekend, and talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.